Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're doing something a bit different. We're looking at a whole career laid out in a CV, trying to really synthesize it.
Yeah, not just listing things, but finding the core connections, right? What ties together the organizational theory, the leadership, and this huge social impact piece.
Exactly. So the big picture seems to be about, well, strategic talent assessment, organizational learning, the usual suspects, but then applied globally and with this social angle.
That's the key, I think. It's taking those core HR skills assessment, learning, performance, and using them in these, well, much broader contexts. That's what feels unique here.
Okay, let's dig into the foundations then, because honestly, it looks a bit like a contradiction on paper. A PhD in sociology focusing on international political economy, sociology of work, but then also a master of public admin focused on HR management. How does that work?
Well, it sounds odd maybe, but it creates this really powerful lens, you know? It means looking at HR problems not just as like internal company stuff, how fast we train people or whatever, but thinking about global power, how society shapes work, equity issues.
Okay. So the sociology informs the why and the how of the HR practice.
Precisely. And you see that feed directly into the skills listed, right? Strategic assessment, team management, organizational learning, but viewed through that wider, more critical framework.
And this isn't just a U.S.-centric thing. We see
Yeah.
these non-academic credentials mentioned. Academic fellow CIPD and HEA senior fellow. What do those actually signal for people maybe working internationally?
Right, good question. CIPD, for instance, that's a huge benchmark for HR excellence,
Yeah.
especially across the Commonwealth and Europe. Getting that kind of fellowship, or the HEA1 for higher education, it shows this expertise isn't just theoretical, it meets really stringent international standards.
So it's portable, validated globally.
Exactly, which makes sense when you see the Fulbright scholar posts Minsk, Indonesia, and time spent as a visiting academic at places like Oxford. It all connects.
Okay, so that global complexity piece makes sense. And then there's this massive social impact engine that seems central. The long stint as academic director for the Center for Social Impact and director of academic service learning. How does that actually work?
Yeah, the academic service learning part seems crucial. It's not just volunteering, it's structured. Students use their actual core skills, maybe consulting, data analysis, marketing, whatever, on real projects for nonprofits. It's learning by doing, but with community benefit built in.
Okay, structured application. And that leads us to, well, probably the most eye-popping number in the whole document, this metric, a $116,801 ROI for the budget. Wait, seriously. $168 back for every dollar spent on an educational program.
I know it sounds kind of unbelievable, doesn't it? But it's calculated. It's based on quantifying the economic value of the skilled work those students deliver to community partners.
So actual measurable economic payback.
Yes, over $4.5 million annually, direct economic value back to the community. It's a really concrete example of translating academic theory into, well, community currency. And that focus explains the new journal, too, Transformative Social Impact.
Wow, okay. But it's not just practical application. What about the academic research itself? There seems to be a really consistent theme running through the publications. Job satisfaction, often with a focus on gender differences.
That's right. The research is consistently comparative, looking internationally. You see studies comparing job satisfaction globally or public sector versus private or in specific fields like healthcare. Really relevant stuff if you're managing diverse international teams.
It's evolving, too. The 2025 publications listed are digging into the intersection of gender and generation on job satisfaction, getting quite specific about today's workforce.
Exactly. And that focus on understanding the workforce, on well-being, on adaptability, it lines up perfectly with the recent book titles, doesn't it? The Future-Ready Workplace, The Human-Centered Workplace.
Right. It suggests you can't optimize a workplace without really understanding these deep demographic and sociological factors, not just fiddling with internal policies.
That's the core insight, I think. It demands that research-driven global perspective.
So pulling it all together, we have this deep connection between rigorous comparative sociology, practical human capital management, and then delivering leadership that's not only ethical, but also have this measurable, significant financial impact globally.
Yeah. And the really profound bit, I think, circles back to that $168 ROI. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, if academic service learning can be structured to create that kind of measurable community payback. Well, here's a thought for you listening. how could your organization apply that same model? How could you quantify the real social return and maybe even the internal economic benefit of your own training and leadership development programs? It's a challenge, maybe, to think about investment in people differently.